Ask me anything. So I asked my friends on Twitter and Facebook, what questions would they ask me if I made an Ask Me Anything video? And these are 25 questions social media asked me. Number 1, how did I come up with the finger sketch style from Carolyn? Well, I like giving myself challenges. I've been sketching for a year now with the Procreate and the Apple Pencil, and I thought to up the challenge a bit more and to use my finger when sketching. And I'd also try to accomplish the finger sketches within 1 minute or 30 seconds or some other time frame. What's my creative process like? Picking a tweet, thought to creating a visual version. To be honest, there's no real big secret. I just take a look at what's around me, and if I'm inspired, I sketch or tweet about it. What may be surprising is sometimes I do take several tries to do a sketch. For example, in one of my finger sketches, I did it around 42 times before I got it right. And I think that's part of the creative process, making a lot of mistakes. Diana asks, what are your 3 top books that you would recommend anyone read? Number 1 is Atomic Habits by James Clear. It provides a framework for you to build your habits and highly recommend it. Number 2 is Barack Obama's A Promised Land. It gives you an insight on what it takes to become a president of a country. Number 3 is 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware. It gives you a nice perspective in life, whether or not you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing. Mike asked me, I don't feel like I have talent and won't ever publish my art. Why should I take your course? You see, a couple of months ago, I was thinking about making an online course on visual thinking and what I call visual Zettelkasten. And I thought it'd be a great course to teach. To be honest, Mike, you don't need talent for that kind of sketching. As long as you know how to make arrows and basic shapes. The idea is to be able to visualize your thoughts in a way that's easier to convey for someone who just looks at it. Why should you take a course like that? Well, it's inspired by Tiago Forte's Building a Second Brain, which I took last year. The idea is to build this database of visual material that you can use for teaching, for your thesis, or for your facilitation. And I've used it personally to great effect. Even got me promoted. Ramel asks, what's the one thing you enjoyed doing before, hated doing now, and why? Nothing really comes to my mind right now. I might be doing something before that I'm not able to do now because I'm busy doing something else. Christine asks, what made you decide to create an FB UX design group? My thinking when I created this group is I was looking for people who was in the similar design space. At the time, I hardly saw anyone who was doing this, who was advocating for design to create a better society, to design better apps. And I thought we could actually learn from each other if we come together and share our experiences. And it turns out a lot of other people were looking at the same thing. They were looking at where that community was. I just happened to be one of the first to actually buy a domain name and create a Facebook group for that community. Who inspires you to sketch? Christine asks me, who inspires me to sketch? Well, you do. All my friends do. Anytime you respond to my sketches positively and even giving me constructive feedback, that helps me improve. I think partly the meaning of life is growth. If you don't grow, don't challenge yourself, it becomes too boring sometimes. And that little challenge, that push from my friends, inspires me. Christine also asks, how can we all be cool like you? I'm not cool. You're cool. My friend Justin asked me, what would you tell your former self when you started drawing, thinking in public? I would tell myself, what were you afraid of? Just stay consistent, do your thing, not hurt anybody else, improve yourself, and keep at it. Stay consistent. Michelle asks me, what do you do for fun? Well, I do sketch. You see some of my sketches. It helps me relax. It's art therapy for me. At the same time, it challenges me enough that it doesn't become too boring. Any memorable movie or TV line? Carpe diem.
Carpe diem. Let's seize the day. Seize the day. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may.
From Dead Poets Society with Robin Williams. For some reason, it stuck to me, and it was one of those first movies that really inspired me to go beyond where I am right now. It was one of those first movies that made me think about life and what am I doing? Why don't I just seize the day? Michelle also asks, pineapple on pizza. Well, I used to like that a lot, but I've been avoiding sugar or anything too sweet in the past 2 years to keep fit. So, not anymore. Birdie asked me, best Ellie puns. Sorry, Birdie, I'm not really punny lately. Marisol asked me, tell us about your first love. First love? Tell us about your first love. First love is family, right? I don't know. I don't really think about this. This was a funny question when I saw it. I didn't really know how to answer it. I didn't really think about first loves or anything. One of my good friends, Chris Tumpalan, asked me, what was the turning point in your life? Let me tell you a story. When I graduated high school, I came from a public school, and I thought graduating from a public school back then offered little opportunities for me. Luckily, one of my mentors back then, who was tutoring me, sponsored my application to a prestigious university. Little did I know that would open up the doors to a lot of other opportunities, because when I applied for it, I took the exam, I passed. I met all these amazing people who have been a part of my life till now and has helped me grow. Love asks me, what makes you you? All the things that make me unique from everybody else makes me me. If there was one turning point in your life that you'd like repeated, what would it be and why? Great question. I'd love to go back to college, actually. There's this type of Japanese comic called isekai, which basically means a protagonist going back to a different world from his current world. And a lot of isekais are about heroes going back to their previous lives or a previous point in their life. And for me, I'd love to go back to college with the skills that I know right now. I know it's cheating, but at least those habits that I've formed now that I wish I had back in college. Like number one is note-taking or daily journaling or keeping a database of my visuals, which I'm starting to do now, which I was too distracted back in college with games. Jay asks a similar question. Hindsight is 2020. What were moments in your life that you want undone? What would you have done differently? Again, I would love to have gone back to college and do things differently and take advantage of all the opportunities that were open to me at the time. You see, at the time, I was just really jamming, playing guitars, playing computer games. I could have done more. Val asked me, what are my greatest failures? Failure is not really that great, right? I guess one of the failures that I think about often is about my team. I think that when my teammates resign, I think it's my failure as a team lead for not being able to convince them to stay. But I know sometimes it's really like that. They just need to move on. Still, I feel guilty. I ask myself sometimes, what could I have done to help them grow a bit more or at least stay with the company I was with? Val also asked, if money wasn't a factor, what would you like to do forever or at least 10 years? Picture a happy life for yourself. What does it look like? Actually, I've been watching these videos of people who are in the beach right now or sailing. I would love to experience sailing myself or at least traveling around the world, meeting new people, getting a chance to have coffee with all those people I'm meeting internationally on Twitter now. Oh, I'd love to be able to do that. Have coffee with Christine, with Samantha, with Justin in Hawaii, with Ev in Australia. Wow, I'd love to be able to do that and do it regularly and keep meeting new friends. Adit asked me, what do you want people to remember you for? I hope people remember me for trying to build this community of designers and help that design community grow where I am, where I'm from. And I hope my family remembers me for all the things that I have tried to do for the family. OJ asked me, what's one thing you believe to be true but most people disagree with you? I'm not sure, probably something around politics, on politicians, but I'd rather not talk about politics. Aya asks, forecasts or trends foreseen by people that you ignored when you heard them only to find out years later that it was true. That's not actually a question, but there are trends that I might not have been aware of, like the trends of these non-fungible tokens or Bitcoin that I totally ignored back then or underestimated, which I wish I had not, because I think I did have Bitcoin before, but I don't have access to it, and now it's worth how much right today. Chris Agres asked me, what failure was the most memorable and lesson you learned? A memorable failure for me was back in college, although I had this many opportunities that were available to me, but my grades weren't that good. I tended to enjoy my life back in college with friends and playing games and making music and jamming, and my grades weren't always that good. It was just so. The lesson I learned there was spend more time studying, right? Taking better notes. And the last question from Marie, what's your favorite hobby? Sketching, drawing. And that's it for today's video. If you'd like to take a look at the things that I learned from an online writing course, the habits that I've gained, or you can take a look at this 100-day video recording challenge that I gave myself last year. Till next time, bye!